Hey y'all, it's exciting to be back this week to finish up our series on emotions. And I just want to know, how did it go? Let us know how it went when you all went through the discussion questions of asking, why am I feeling how I'm feeling? And then what am I going to do about it? How'd you do with that? What'd you do differently as a result of those questions and talking to your families? Please share with us, because again, like we said, it's not just the kids who are dealing with emotions and navigating fear and joy and sadness, disgust. It's not just y'all, it's the adults as well. And so to help me out this week to finish this series up and break down each of those words and dive into the Bible with each of them, we have the rest of our youth leaders from the block. But before that, there's a scripture I want us to lead off with. It is in Deuteronomy 6:5. And you must love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your strength. Remember, it's focusing on God so that we see ourselves not as weak, not as less than, but understand that when we lean on Him, it is He who makes us strong. So don't do this again. Don't do this on your own. Don't think that you have to do it on your own. Understand, God is our strength. So I'm excited for the team to take it away.
Good morning, everyone. This is Mr. Sean coming to you live from the balcony of calmness. Now, as I look around, this is where I come to calm myself, to be stress-free, and be in a real good headspace, mentally, physically, and so forth. But, sometimes we get mad. Sometimes we get angry. It is pretty hard to be angry in an environment like this. Wouldn't you agree? Actually come to calm myself and listen to see if God will actually speak to me. Now, that leads us to our lesson for today. Today we're going to be in 1 James, verse 19 through 27. And here, let me get it in focus here. And it's about listening and doing. Now, as I read this, it says, "My dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry, because our anger does not produce the righteousness that God desires. Therefore, get rid of all moral filth and evil, that it is so prevalent, and humbly accept the word planted in you, which can save you. Do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says. Those who listen to the word but do not do what it says are like people who look at their faces in the mirror, and after looking at themselves, go away and immediately forget what they look like." That's pretty interesting. "But those who look intently into the perfect law that gives freedom and continue in it, not forgetting what they have heard, but doing it, they will be blessed in what they do. Those who consider themselves religious and yet do not keep a tight rein on their tongues deceive themselves, and their religion is worthless. Religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless is this: to look after orphans, widows in their distress, and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world." Probably thinking to ourselves, what exactly does that passage mean? Mr. Sean, what's going on here? First of all, we got to figure out who the passage is actually in reference to. Is it talking about us interacting with our mom, our dad, sister, or brother? No, that's not the context here. Actually, this is in reference to God. So God is telling us in this passage that we need to be quick to listen, slow to speak, and also slow to anger. And when we do this, we're able to hear God. So at first I said I was out here, this is the place where I come to actually hear God. I can't hear God if I'm speaking. I can't hear God if I'm not calm and content. If I'm angry, I'm definitely not going to get the word of God. So God has something good in store for all of us, but we have to slow down long enough. We have to be righteous-minded so we can actually hear his word. And that's exactly what this is saying right here. Now, I have some other things that we can go to, or some other passages that's going to further impact what we read here. Now, we're here in Proverbs 10, verse 19, and it says, sin is not ended by multiplying words, but the prudent hold their tongues. So it's basically saying that anytime you're speaking a lot, sin is going to be an abundant supply, or it's going to be present within that conversation. And the prudent just hold their tongues. You notice the smartest people in the room usually aren't saying much. It goes back in the book here. We're at Proverbs 17:27. And it says here, those who have knowledge use words with restraint, and those who have understanding are even-tempered. Man, that is interesting right there. So if I had a knowledge of the subject, or anything at hand, if I have certain knowledge just about life, I'm going to react different than those who don't have the same knowledge as I do. They may not be in the same place I am. They may not be as far. So it's up to me to understand that that person doesn't have the exact thing that I have, and for me to just be calm. Because words are just words. Go ahead and wrap this up. We can't get angry with God. God is going to say some things that we don't want to hear. So when God shares his righteous plan with us, we have to be receptive for his implanted word. And that's where I'm going to leave it off. You guys have a wonderful day. I miss seeing you guys, and we have a good one. Peace out.
All right, friends, let's talk about the emotion of disgust. We're going to go with the definition that says, so unpleasant to see, smell, taste, anything to do with the senses, or consider that you feel slightly sick. Another definition says, so bad, unfair, or inappropriate that you feel annoyed and angry. The lesson that goes with this goes to Luke chapter 17, verses 11 through 19. And we're going to read from the New King James Version. Now it happened, as he went through Jerusalem, that he passed through the midst of Samaria and Galilee. Then as he entered a certain village, there met him 10 men who were lepers, who stood afar off. And they lifted up their voice and said, Jesus, Master, have mercy on us. So when he saw them, he said to them, go, show yourselves to the priests. And so it was that they went, and they were cleansed. And one of them, when they saw that he was healed, returned, and with a loud voice glorified God, and fell on his face at his feet, giving him thanks. And he was a Samaritan. So Jesus answered and said, Were there not 10 cleansed? But where are the 9? Were there not any found who turned to give glory to God, except this foreigner? And he said to him, Arise, go your way, your faith has made you well. There are 2 instances in this passage where we can talk about disgust. This is where the Bible gets real. So, to have the disease of leprosy, or to be called a leper, is to have a condition that is contagious, or was contagious during that time, that caused disfigurement or disforming of features, the skin, all those things. To have leprosy, people's noses would fall off, their fingers would fall off, their faces would look a mess because their skin would be messed up. And again, this was contagious, so you didn't want to touch them. These people could gather together, but they would only be amongst themselves. They couldn't be with all their friends and family, because their friends and family were scared that if they were around them and they touched them, that they would also get leprosy too. So Jesus was going around minding his own business, going from Samaria and Galilee and wherever. And so these group of 10 people saw him. And they knew they couldn't go up to him, but they were yelling, Jesus, have mercy on us. Help us, help us. And Jesus looked back at them and he said, hey, I got you. I can heal you. Go see the priest. You're going to be okay. So they went off and they went to go see the priest. And they realized that they were healed. They had skin like brand new babies. They could go join their families. They could be happy and live healthy, happy lives. And then one of them just happened to come back to Jesus and give him glory and be like, God, thank you. Thank you for doing this for me. And Jesus, being human, he was God's son, but he was human as well. Jesus was like, really? I sent 10 of y'all, and only one of y'all can be thankful for what my God has done? God did this through me, and this is only one person that can come back and say thank you? I mean, Jesus at this point was like disgusted. But then he could look at this man and say, hey, God healed you. And he knew that he had blessed them. But as a human, sometimes whenever you do things and you do things that are right, it can be a little disgusting, a little disheartening, make you angry and upset that people don't acknowledge what you do or how that you do things. You might go out of your way to do things. This also happens in real life. Our leader, Lawrence, gave me this task because it's something that I've been going through with my work. I am a nurse practitioner for an organization that I work with, that provides healthcare to homeless and underserved people. I don't feel like they appreciate me. They send me from place to place to place, and I think that interferes with my work and to have that relationship with my patients. And so it makes me very angry. I am overly annoyed, and I'm disgusted that they don't listen to me. They don't appreciate me whenever I ask questions or I make a request. But because I have a job and I need a job, I'm grateful to have a job. And this is where I'm supposed to be at this point in my life. I've got to figure out for myself, am I just going to go around and be annoyed and angry at my employers? Are they the people I'm working for? Or am I working for these other people who need health care, who need a healthcare provider, a doctor / a nurse practitioner who can help them feel well, both physically and mentally? And so I have to choose, who do I work for? And in this choice, I choose to work for my patient. I have to put a smile on my face. I have to make these people feel like I want to be with them, because I do. I want to use what God's given me to help them. Just the other day, I had a patient who was disgusted with his own life. He, after 13 years of not having a drink, of not having any type of drug in his system, that he could just have a beer. And with that one beer, he had more, and he slipped up and started using drugs again. And he, at this point of coming to me, was in a depression. He was depressed and he was anxious because now he's homeless. He's living in a halfway house, and he's disgusted that he let down his wife. He let down his children, and he let down himself because he had been clean for so long, or not taking any drugs or any alcohol. And because he opened all this up to me and he was telling me his story, I wanted to thank him for opening up to me, because he didn't have to tell me those things. They were very personal. For him to not like those things about himself, to be disgusted with himself about how he lost his family, how he lost his home, and how he lost his hope, and how, just life wasn't working for him, and allowing me this opportunity to help him. He said that he appreciated me, that when I walked through the door, that I had a spirit about me that allowed him to open up to me. So with this, I want you guys to just know that when we are disgusted with things that are going on around us, we still got to push through. We got to do what's right, and we got to figure out how we can make the situation better. In my situation, I have to figure out who I want to help. I'm doing it because of the people that I am helping. I'm going to help them the best I can. So I bring the best attitude that I can, and I work just to make sure that they know that I'm not disgusted with them and their situation, that I value them, and then they can value the work that I do. I hope that helps. Take care.
So I'm gonna be real with you. I really wasn't trying to do this video today. A little bit of it was pride, but that's not the topic of discussion right now. We are here to talk about fear. And I say we because I brought my little friend with me, right? I was really kind of embarrassed and honestly afraid to get on the camera with my face being quarantine unkempt and talk to you guys today. But they gave me the perfect topic, and here's why. So, what does the Bible have to say about fear? 2 Timothy 1:7 says, "For God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and a sound mind." Translation. But so what do? When you drink water, mind your business, do a whole face mask, and the thing that you're afraid of is literally still staring you in the face. You do it anyways. You do it afraid. But like the first verse says, you have to focus on what God has given you, which is power and love and a sound mind. It's easy to get caught up in what you're afraid of. And the Bible says that God did not give us a spirit of fear. It doesn't say that you won't be afraid. It doesn't say that you won't be scared. What it says is that is not something that comes from God. What comes from God is power, love, and a sound mind. So focus on that. Even if what you're afraid of is staring you in the face, it's okay. Just do it and go with God.
Hey, my name is Kyle Rhodes. I'm going to be covering the section on sadness and the emotion lessons overview. Sadness, no one likes to be sad, but kids will learn that sadness can lead us to seek out Jesus, which is the best place we could ever go. The Bible reference is John 11, verse 17 through 44, and it's actually the story of Lazarus, when Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead. And the thing I will share with you when it comes to sadness, it's my own personal story, is the story of my mother. I lost my mother some years ago now to cancer. Very difficult situation. She'd been dealing with it for a long time. Put up a great fight, a good fight, but succumbed to it some years ago. And I mean, even to this day, it's something that I'm still saddened about. But the way I deal with it is, I know whom I serve, number one. Consoling and having family, loved ones, my siblings, my two sisters, my father, knowing that our mother was someone who loved Jesus, loved the Lord, raised her children, to go that route. And I can look back at, I know my mother's not here physically, but, spiritually, I look around the influences that she left behind, the seeds that she planted that have grown in our lives, the seeds that I'm planting that she taught me that I'm putting into my children. Her influence is still there. Her character, her presence, her I said, I keep using the word influence. It's still all around us. And, you know, knowing that she is still so much a part of me and a part of my children, that her legacy will continue to go on. And, you know, knowing that she's with the Father, knowing that she is in a place where she's no longer suffering, that's how I was able to cope with the sadness. And still, does it bother me to this day? Yes. But, you know, I'm very thankful that the Lord blessed us with such a wonderful mother. Yeah, you can console in your family, your loved ones, your close friends through the sad times. But always remember who you belong to, and always remember who's there watching and keeping over you. And that's the Lord. That's our God. So thank you.
Hey, it's Marissa, and today I want to talk about joy. So you might ask, what is joy? What does that look like? So I have a definition here that I want to read for you concerning joy. Okay, so joy is the emotion that makes us feel the best, and we will learn that when we walk with Jesus, He will transform our anger, sadness, disgust, and fear into a celebration of joy. So let's look at an example in the Bible where we see that transformation of someone going from feeling so many different feelings to having the joy of the Lord. So in Luke 19 verses 1 through 9 reads, Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through. A man was there by the name of Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and was wealthy. He wanted to see who Jesus was, but because he was short, he could not see over the crowd. So he ran ahead and climbed a sycamore fig tree to see him, since Jesus was coming that way. When Jesus reached the spot, he looked up and said to him, "Zacchaeus, come down immediately. I must stay at your house today." So he came down at once and welcomed him gladly. All the people saw this and began to mutter, "He has gone to be the guest of a sinner?" But Zacchaeus stood up and said to the Lord, "Look, Lord, here and now I give half of my possessions to the poor. And if I have cheated anybody out of anything, I will pay back 4 times the amount." Jesus said to him, "Today salvation has come to this house, because this man too is the son of Abram. For the Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost." So here we see a man that was desperate, you know, not in a negative way, but in a way of like, I'm going to do whatever I got to do to get the joy that I need in my life. And so I don't know where you may be right now, but you may have people, naysayers around you that's saying you're unworthy, you're a sinner, you did this, you did that. But know that just like Zacchaeus, Jesus is seeking to give you exactly what it is that you're needing, what you're longing for. I was reminded today when I entered the Snapchat app, and you know, Snapchat reminds you of your memories from 1 year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Well, I took a picture from 2 years ago that when I looked at that picture, I remembered where I was in that moment, the pain that I felt from a traumatic experience, a heartbreak, you know, like I've never experienced before. And I remember praying to God, like, Lord, I don't want to feel this forever. I want your joy. I want to feel better. Like, I felt angry. I felt sad. I felt like, how could this person do this to me? And I am here to tell you that that moment of feeling those feelings was not forever. So I don't know what you may be feeling right now. You may be down about everything that's going on. You may have experienced the breakup recently. You know, maybe it's school. Maybe it's, you know, you were not able to get whatever it is you were hoping for. You know, I know a lot of you all prom, you're not able to experience your prom, your graduations. It's just so many feelings that you may be feeling on the inside of you. And I'm here to tell you that I empathize with you 100%, but know that this moment is not forever. It will make you stronger, and just seek and pray for God's peace and His joy, and know that it is already on the inside of you. So we love you. We are praying for you, and I hope to see you guys soon. Take care.
So how'd you like that from the team? I know I appreciated it. And I love the personal stories about how they've navigated through those emotions, because it's important that you all see that you're not the only ones experiencing these feelings, these emotions, and understand that it's normal, but understand it's normal for us to serve a mighty God as well. And so this week, be focused on the questions, those same questions we had from last week. Why am I feeling this way? Where is it coming from? And then, what can I do about it? Who can I connect with to help me talk through what I'm feeling and why I'm feeling it? Because we all need you to be healthy, to be happy, not just happy in the traditional sense, but happy and whole, in that we're not saying you're not ever going to feel those emotions again. We're just saying that you can experience them and navigate them well. Because again, it's through Christ, not in spite of Christ. He died on that cross for you and me. He died for you and me so we could live this life and live it well. So until next time, be well. Let us know how we could pray for you, and we'll talk to you soon. Continue to go be great.